Hey guys, Ronsanut is back with another build video for you. Took some time off last year, summertime. Really didn't spend any time in my studio building, but I have one for you now. This is based on the Lin Li Dynamic, and it's the white one. I am using some things that I've never done before. When I saw this case, I actually built a rig for my stepson in this case, and I liked it so much that I thought I would build one for myself. I collect pieces throughout the year and found some things that I hadn't used before that I liked, so I went ahead and started collecting bits. And then of course the RTX series of graphics cards came out. They're so damn expensive, though. I really wasn't gonna buy one, but I had to break down and do it. I wanted to make this rig, at least given where we are today, which is it's around the beginning of February of 2019. I wanted to put together a good system. So what you see in the picture there is going to be in the rig. It's a 2080 Ti, the EVGA Ultra Gaming version. It's going to be on the Maximus Apex 10 with an 8700K delidded, and so I can run it at 5 gigahertz. I've got some 4200 megahertz Trident Z RGB RAM. I've got some 1 terabyte M.2 NVMe SSDs there. Got a heavy duty power supply from EVGA, 360 rad, some top and cover from Singularity Computers Protium. The fans that I'm using in it are Thermaltake Ring Trio. These are the premium versions. And the thing that's new for me is to the right there you see a Lin Li. It's a what do they call it? A distribution block, a waterway. So that's not something I've used before, and that's designed to go in the front of this case. And then I also am going to show off the GPU by having a vertical, have it mounted vertically. So you see that white box back there is the kit to do that. It's an optional kit. So I guess pretty much a high-end gaming build, if you will. And I suspect some things may or may not work out, like the radiator. That may not work in this case, but we'll find out. I have a lot of parts laying around, so I'm going to use that. Oh, and then on the motherboard, I'm going to have a monoblock. So that's a Bits Power monoblock. And then for the EVGA 2080 Ti, I actually got the hydro copper water block from EVGA. At the time of this video, nobody had made a custom block for that. That's a custom PCB. That's not a reference one. So I had to go with the one that EVGA had available. So pretty much that is the plan. I hope you stick around for the videos, and I'm gonna apologize in advance for some audio early on in this video. I have one channel that was out. I didn't know it at the time, and so and I'm editing it way after the fact, so I'm not gonna redo that. So that's it, guys. I am ready to show you a new build. Come enjoy.
Radiator. My plan for this case is to put a radiator in the back side here. I think it'd be cleaner to hide the rad back here, put the fans on the inside here, and then have the front waterway put in the front. Now, like I said in the intro, I've never used the waterway before. It's something new, but I always like to try something new in my builds, and I haven't posted a build in a while, so I fell in love with this case. I actually built one for my stepson, and I liked it so much that I went ahead and got one so I can build myself a gaming rig for Christmas. So what I'm going to do is, first thing is, I know that this will fit in the bottom and the top, and the motherboard is pretty short, so it'll meet right here. If I wanted to put a rad up here in the top, I could do that. When I put some fans, it's going to encroach a little bit, but probably not bad. But I think that looks too busy. I don't really plan on putting a rad up here unless I put a really thin one, so I might do that. But as far as mounting this radiator, it's too thick. I had a feeling. Now I have a lot of parts laying around from old builds and reviews that I've never used, and this is just not gonna cut it. It's, number one, it's too thick and it's too tall. So this nice XS PC, I think it's an RX 360 or RS 360, is not going to work. So I need to find me a slim radiator. So that's already in the works now. But the next thing that I wanted to do is, you know, this is a Barrow LLO11Q SBD V1. So this is version 1. I think there's a version 2 out now. I ordered this not too long ago. I thought it looked cool, like I said, so I'm going to try it. But one of the things, of course, this has really no instructions for how to mount it. There's a couple of little slots right here and here, and I'm looking in the case, and what that does, hopefully you can see this, what that does is it accounts for these rivets. There's some rivets actually on this side, so they have in the right spot. That's a good thing. Although there is some movement in here, and there is another rivet down here that this does not allow this to meet flush. So up here it's flush, but down at the bottom it's not. So I might have to remove that rivet or shave it down. Oh, there you go. I got it over that one, but now this is not flush on this side. So something's got to give. I think a rivet or two may have to get filed down. Hopefully that won't cause any structural issues. But again, there's no instruction on how to mount it. And I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to taps into the acrylic. Now it looks like anywhere I tap into the acrylic, though, it's not anywhere there's a waterway. So I have to be very careful. It's either that or glue it, which I am not going to do. Velcro maybe, but I don't know, heavy duty Velcro maybe, but I'm going to have to make some adjustments so that it is flush. See, this is not even flush here, right down here. So there's some work to be done to figure out how best to mount this. I've seen other videos where people have actually used this, and some do some time-lapse builds, but nobody goes into how they mount it. Don't show that at all. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you guys how I did it in case you want to. So anyway, that's the first issue, and the thing I'm going to have to overcome is modding this so that I can mount this guy nicely inside the case. It's like maybe a Dremel may be required, and then some taps to get into here. So anyway, that's where the start is. Mounting the motherboard and power supply and all that stuff, that's straightforward. I'm not going to use these. I'm going to hide the 4 terabyte SSD back out of the way. It's going to go inside this guy for loading up games. But yeah, anyway, so I just wanted to show you the issues that I came across so far, and then I'll be back to show you how I've overcome them. Alright guys, in order to mount this, what I wound up doing is I drilled out the rivets here and here. Now there's still rivets here and rivets at the top, so this is not compromised at all. So I drilled out here and down here, and then in order also I also did one right here. So there's 3, and then because of the way that these rivets bump out, like right there, hopefully you can see that, I also took out the rivet in this corner that was coming up from the bottom. So there's still other ones securing the feet, and the feet actually get screwed in, so that's not an issue. Anyway, so that's what I did in order to be able to put the reservoir flat up against without having anything push it back from the front panel. So I drilled out those, and then I drilled holes and I tapped them. Started out with a small bit, and then I tapped them out so that I can mount this in 3 points, 2 at the bottom and 1 here at the top. Over here on the front, there's really nowhere
I mean, there's all these holes, but I don't want any washers. Remember, there's a glass plate that has to go up against this, and it needs to be flush. So these are countersunk already, and so that's why I used those two in that one. I guess I could have used this one too, but I didn't. I don't think I needed it. I already had two securing at the bottom and one at the top. So that's how that reservoir is going to get mounted by 3 screws, but they don't give you any instructions. Like I said, I think the only thing they hint at is gluing it, and I'm not gluing that so that I can have any issues in the future when I take it apart or want to use it, you know, if I want to do anything else with it. Actually, it only works in this case, so it probably won't ever be removed till the day I sell it, if I have to take it apart for that. So anyway, no issues with the structural rigidity. It is still secured, and that's what I'm going to do.
All right, guys, so we got the correct size radiators. Here I have a black one. This is an XSPC, what is it, RX, it's an XSPC EX360. All right, so here's how nice and thin she is, and then when you place it in this spot here in the back, it actually, I do have to adjust some of the cables here, but it has just enough room for the fittings to come out into the main bay. So right here I can get the fittings on there. I already tested it, and then I'll turn it around so you can see there is these cables need to be dressed a little bit, but it fits with some room to spare. So again, I'm going to have the fans on the inside, right? And so this guy will be here, radiator in the reservoir in the front here, fans coming in from here, pulling the air through, and then let's have a look. See, that radiator I got in black. Actually, the black one's a little bit cheaper. And then I got the exact same radiator, except this one. This one is white and black. And so now this guy is going to be mounted up in the roof right here. And so because they're thin rads, and although the 8700K has been delidded and runs cool even at 5 gigahertz, having basically, you know, 2 of these rads in the loop for both the GPU and the CPU should be just fine. Yeah. So this guy will be nice up here, although it's not the glossy white, it's kind of a matte white, but it still is going to be fine. It'll have fans on there. So yeah, so that's it. So next up, mounting the reservoir into the front, and then mounting the back rad, getting some fans on there. I still have to put the power supply in. I'm still waiting on the correct bracket for this. Should be in another day or 2. So when that comes in, then I'll be able to start mounting the motherboard. All right, so here we have the front reservoir in. I also test fitted the glass because it's a snug fit. There's a screw here, like I told you, a screw here and a screw here. And they are, although they're flatheads, they still protrude just a little bit, but it's okay. The front panel fits on there, and this guy's not going to go anywhere. This screw is about 1 inch long to make it through this panel and through that. It's not quite, it's like 7/8. And then these guys are about 1/2 inch, and they make it through. And again, the critical part when you're drilling through this plexiglass or the acrylic, you know, you'll see the sandwiches where all the screws are to keep those O-rings in place to prevent any leakage. So all my drilling was done way on the outside, and actually you cannot see it. You can't see where those holes are drilled. So it was safe. You just got to have the right tools. Start with a tiny drill bit, and then work your way up, and then make sure you have the right tap size to tap the threads for the screws you're going to use. So anyway, that's how you mount a reservoir, one of these waterway reservoirs, to the front of a Lian Li PC-011 Dynamic case. That's how I did it anyway. All right, so next up now, mounting the rad and some fans to the back here. All right, I have the radiator, putting the fans in now. I just wanted to show you the fans that I'm using are these Thermaltake Ring Trio 12 radiator fans. These are the premium version, and they look pretty nice, although I have not used them. I've used the next level below this, and they work fine, but I like that this whole diffused white area and the blades are white, and then by reversing it have the same thing. Sometimes you only have the benefit on some of these fans from the front and not the back, but because I got to do a pull, I'm going to use that. Now, the beauty of this fan also is that it has, I bought a controller, a sync controller, that allows you to sync it with the RGB on the Asus motherboard. So this is a sync controller that you can use, and it allows you to interface these fans through this controller and then to the motherboard. So I'll have one software control and not multiple ones. Like nowadays everybody has a different kind of controller, like Corsair, and you know, they want you to use their ecosystem, but this allows me to adapt these fans to the Asus motherboard that I'm using. So that's cool. So anyway, still getting the fans installed, and yep, after that looks like I'll be getting the power supply in. Pretty cool. While I was working down here, guess what just showed up? The correct PCIe Express riser card adapter kit, and it has some instructions, 2 pieces basically. This one right here replaces this guy. 4 of these or 5 of these take out these brackets. These mount in here, and then this guy right here gets mounted in the bottom, roughly like so, with this plugging into the motherboard, you know, one of the motherboard PCIe 16 slots, so that you can plug your card in there. So I finally got the right kit, came at a perfect time. I'm going to go ahead and install this bracket now, take care of this one, and then keep moving on. All right, guys, what you see here is a mess of fittings, because as I was about to test fit the other radiator, I realized that how am I going to fill this reservoir, or this distribution plate, if you will. And I want to fill it from the topmost port right here, and in order to do that, it would have been nice if they would have put a port access in the front of this distribution plate, reservoir I'm going to call it. But anyway, to make a long story short, I found a spot to put the fill port in. One of the issues I had to deal with is up here in the top. This radiator can only go in this one spot. This is flared out on either side to accommodate fittings for a rad in that spot only. The bottom is not cut out the same way. So to flip the rad upside down and have the ports at the bottom wasn't going to fly, I guess, unless you used the 240, but not with the 360. So I had that to deal with. Then I had to, you know, figure out, not only do I need to fill it, I need to get a return back out of the rad. My plan is that this rad is going to be the last point before it goes back into the reservoir here. So anyway, it took me a while, a ton of fittings. I contemplated using these T-blocks. I tried to find a way to have the fill ports split and, you know, feed the reservoir to fill, and also come from the radiator. Anyway, well, what I came up with, and also I figured I better plan for draining this loop as well. And I normally put it on the pump, which I haven't installed yet, but it's going to go in this area here. I decided to put in this fill port, and by the way, I checked the top, so the lid does slide on the top there. I had to get a very slim plug for it, but that works. And right now the plan is to have it come in and fill this reservoir, and then as this reservoir fills down, it's going to go to, it'll go all the way down, come out, across, back down to this bottom section. There's a whole bunch of sections. And then there's a spot at the low spot in the back that it's going to come out and feed the pump and feed the loop. Now when it comes out of this rad, I'm having it go into a section of this block that goes down. It feeds this one, then it transfers the fluid to this section, transfers the fluid to this section, which then goes back into the main reservoir. So I've got all of the cavities or all of the chambers in the block addressed. I have seen other people do this, use this block, this reservoir or distribution waterfall, waterway, whatever you want to call it. I've seen them use this, but they have, and it is designed to have a lot of horizontal pipes coming from the GPU to a spot and then from the CPU and what have you. I did not want to do that. I did not want to have a bunch of horizontal pipes going back and forth to this. What I decided to do is plumb it this way so that I can, all of the cavities were filled with fluid so you can see it, but then I'll have the traditional out of the pump into the GPU, out of the GPU into the monoblock, and out of the monoblock into the radiator, out of the radiator into this radiator, and then feed the rest of the loop. So that is how I plan to plumb this case, at least right now. I haven't put the motherboard in and the GPU in, but basically the more I thought about it and the different variants I tried, I wanted to have it a clean look, and I didn't want to have all these horizontal pipes going back and forth to this distribution plate. I just, I don't know, for me that it wasn't, it's not an attractive design, although I've seen other ones that look pretty good, but for me I would rather have the traditional flow and not have all of these pipes going across. So I am going to have a bunch of little tubes between each of these, but I think it's going to look pretty cool. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use white coolant or black. Obviously this is turning out to be pretty much a white and black build because of the design of the case. The motherboard of course has tons of RGB, so I could put whatever color I want. And then I have a ton of these shiny silver fittings, as you can see, and there's a whole case of them that I haven't broken out. I do have some black, and I did get some other black ones. I might use the black or black and white on the on the GPU and the CPU, but on this front plate I needed to be uniform, and I didn't, since I had all these fittings, I'm going to use them. So anyway, so that's where we're at right now. I'm going to go ahead and put these away for now. I'm waiting for tubing to show up so I can, put the tubing in front here. The one tricky one is going to be coming out of this port here. My plan is that's going to do a curve and go into this, right here into the reservoir. So that's the plan, and I hope you're liking the build so far. So next up, I need to put the monoblock on the motherboard so I can put the power supply in, but I think I'm going to put the monoblock on the motherboard right now and get things rolling there. So once I have the motherboard in, I can start finishing up the inside here and figure out where I'm going to place the pump. All right, that's it for now. I'll be right back. All right, guys, so next up is mounting the monoblock. I have the Bits Power monoblock for the Apex, and let's take a look at this guy. I believe it does have RGB. So yeah, it's got a cable hanging off of it, and I believe, yeah, this plugs right into the motherboard, so it's not a separate controller or anything, which is great. Here's a picture of the block. I believe it gets mounted like this on the motherboard right here. It even has a flow meter in there. I don't know if you can see that. There's a flow meter. And so I got that and all of the mounting goodies in here. Looks like there's a bracket that I've got to place underneath the board to support it. and some pads, of course, for the VRM. And what is this? Spare part gasket and stuff. Okay, so that's what's going on to the motherboard. I gotta remove the memory and the DIMM for now, and then see what it looks like once it's done. Be right back. All right, there we go. The block installed on the motherboard. The RGB connector plugged into one of the RGB headers right here. Now, one of the things that I didn't show you is I did delid this 8700K, and I'll put the link up in the video or in the description so you can see how to delid an 8700K, same as a 7700K. Anyway, that was already done, and it's already been tested and running at 5 gigahertz if you haven't already checked my video out before. So, but if you want to learn how to do that, I have a full video on how to. So that's why you didn't see it in here. It's already done. Now it's got the monoblock on here. Put the RAM and the M.2 board back on there, and now to put it inside of the case.
Well guys, there it is. That's it installed. So I think it's looking good. I hope you guys like it. Well guys, that's it for this video. I hope you like everything that I've done and learned a few things. I will be back in the next video continuing on with the this Lian Li RGB water-cooled build. And hope you liked the video. If you did, please like and favorite, and if you're so inclined, please subscribe. And don't forget to click on that bell if you want to get notified for the follow-on videos, which actually will be coming soon because I actually shot it all. I just need to finish the editing on those and post it. And I didn't make this one an hour-long video, so you can, you know, take it in little bits and pieces. So, okay, guys, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.